I have gotten quite a few messages from you guys, and there's a lot of chatter out in the Facebook world right now. And as your leader and as someone who's been in business a long time, I want to share a story with you guys. I want to share a perspective with you guys as entrepreneurs, as CEOs of your business, as leaders. So the story I want to share actually has to do with sports, and I relate a lot of business and life experiences to sports. I grew up playing soccer, I played in college, and I really wanted to channel that place. And I was telling Danette, I actually pulled out my old college soccer jersey from North Carolina to do this call because this is a really important message. So I want you to think of sports and think about people's potential. And the title of this live is When People Leave the Game. And I want to share what is happening with a lot of folks that are, quote, leaving the game. And again, this is going to be a major sports analogy, but I'm very confident you're going to see the metaphor, how it transcends over into business. So I want you to think of a sports team and a player on a team. You know, gosh, I could think Lamar Odom is going to be a good example. Ron Artest is a good example. You may not know them. It doesn't matter. You'll get the point of this anyway. But people that have so much potential in their sport, and they join a team, and they're like at the highlight of their season. They're MVP. They're scoring all the goals. They're like really at the height of their game. They're the number one person on their team. The team looks up to them. The team's growing. They're winning games. It's like all is freaking good, right? All is good with that player. And they're feeling like, yeah, like this is the bomb. I'm good at what I do, so on and so forth. And they're shouting it out on the rooftops. Well, what happens when the tides change a little bit and that same player now maybe goes through a personal issue, or their ego gets a little big, and there's a little bit of a tough season, whether it's personally or through business or whatever. There's a little bit of a tough season, and that player starts to disconnect. And so when I say they start to disconnect, disconnecting means not showing up for their team practices, not showing up for their team calls, not working out to be in the best physical shape that they can be to play their sport, not being that same leader, being kind of disgruntled now because they're not getting as much playing time because they're not showing up. When the coach has a team meeting, they decide, nah, I don't need to go to the team meeting, so they don't show up. They slowly start to disengage in both their team and their coach and their business of sport. And when that happens, people take notice. And what does the rest of the team do? They look up to this person thinking, gosh, you know, they're kind of like slacking and you know, maybe it's not worth it. And so this player, so now the team has a losing season. Then maybe it has another losing season. And now this amazing player, once amazing player, is looking around and going, nah, you know, I really don't want to play this sport anymore. I'm going to go play that sport. I'm going to go play another sport that appreciates me, that inspires me, that is better over there. Because you know what? This league, this team, my players, you know, they're all kind of crap, and I'm going to go over there. Now, when he goes to another team or another sport, how socially is that going to make it look? When they go, after putting so much and then disconnecting and kind of turning their back, non-publicly, just really within the team knows that he's not been showing up, not been working out, not been doing his practices, not been a leader or engaged in the team. And the coach has had to talk with him because he's like, hey, I'm going to have to cut your pay. I'm going to cut your play time. I'm going to cut things out because you know what? You're not showing up. So when this player goes to another sport, he's got to make himself look good because he's totally abandoning that sport and going to somewhere else. He's freaking leaving his team, abandoning everything and going over there. But he cannot post on social media that he's doing it. Hey, you know, I'm going over here because you know what? I've not really worked my business for 6 months. I've not really showed up for my team. I've not really had team calls. I had a bad season and I really never came back and I disengaged. No, Because to save face on social media, what they need to do is they go to this other team, and what do? They blame their coach, they blame their team, they blame the league that they play for. It's all someone else's fault. It's not their fault. They fail to say that they've stopped showing up for their business. They fail to say they stopped working out and staying engaged and being a leader that they once were. But the irony is, when they go to this other league, they're going to tell everybody on social media, I'm an MVP player. I'm the top goal scorer. I'm all these amazing credentials that they once were when they chose to show up, when they were on top of their game, when they were mentally plugged in. Are they still that player now? No, because they stopped showing up. And I'm going to tell you, every single one of these coaches that I have seen make a video or a post, I know they stopped showing up and they left their team, they abandoned the coach, and they gave up on their business ages ago. And yet they're posting their rank and what their income was and everything when they were on top of their game. Players don't quit teams when they're at the top of their game. And when they start to disengage and they don't stay in the game, they go somewhere else, what do you expect them to do? Because coaches have been promoting health and fitness, and now they're promoting something completely different. They can't take ownership that they stopped showing up and they totally disengaged in their business 6 months, 12 months ago. They're not going to say that. They're going to blame the coach, the team, and the league. And that's exactly what's happening. And so I want to put in perspective some of these smoke and mirrors that are happening, that we're seeing on social media. And I guarantee every single post that you have seen and will see, because I guarantee there will be more, are all about people who stopped working their business ages ago and now are leaving and are blaming everybody else. Now, I've heard that Beachbody changed its policy and it's corrupt and all of this. Beachbody has had the same policy in place for 10 years. Nothing's changed from the time they started, from the time they left, from the time they were MVP and doing great to the time they really stopped working their business. Policy's not changed. The only thing that's changed is Beachbody tightened the non-compete policy. Thank freaking goodness. And every business you look at has a non-compete policy. So that's nothing unusual. Rodan & Fields even has one, exactly the same as Beachbody's. Why? To protect these other companies for poaching your downline, for poaching your team and pulling them over to another team. So I would think as business owners, we would appreciate that policy. But these people have all been caught poaching and stealing people from our teams, from our culture that we show up to practice for and show up every day for. And now they're piss and vinegar because they got called out and we're trying to play the system. And they're mad at Beachbody. That's what's going on. Are any of them earning six figures anymore? No, and they haven't in a while. Are they these top ranking coaches that they once were when they were at the top of their game? No, not anymore. Let me ask you something. If you did not show up to your corporate job or any job, would you still get paid? Probably not. You'd probably get fired. If these people stopped showing up to their Beachbody team, they stopped being leaders, they stopped recruiting, they stopped helping challengers, they made conscious efforts not to run challenge groups, and then they're wondering why their pay is cut. It's not the volume. Volume didn't go away. The work ethic went away. The consistency went away. And they're going to another team because now they kind of have to save face because they've abandoned this team. Their team has kind of turned on them saying, screw you, you haven't shown up for us for 6 months to a year, so it's easier to go somewhere else. So I wanted to put in perspective everything that you're seeing, ignore it because it's busy noise from people who gave up on their teams. It's people who gave up on themselves. It's people who quit and they became disengaged in the business and everything. They're not posting that on social media. They're posting their best credentials ever that was maybe 2 years ago, not that they're completely fallen apart because they stopped leading people. They're not sharing that story. So I don't want you all to waste your time building your dreams and your business on people who gave up. It's not worth it. Only look forward. Don't look to the sides. Don't listen to the clutter, all the monkey chatter going on. If there's a legitimate concern you have, post it below and I will debunk it, because everything you see is piss and vinegar from people who gave up. They're the players who quit on themselves and stopped showing up, and now they're blaming other people. So, that's all I got. I definitely welcome any of your questions, things that you're hearing, things that you're saying. But when people give up on the game, it's really hard to put those pieces back together. It's really hard to earn respect from the people they turn their back on. And so there's no other way to sell it on social media than to bash the very people they became disengaged to. Because otherwise, the only other option is to take ownership that, hey, I became disengaged and my business fell apart. And that doesn't look so great. So be wise, be mindful, think like entrepreneurs, think like the player that stays in the game. All right, guys, onward and upward, keep refining your lives, refining your business, and refining other people's lives. Take care. Love you.